This is Viterbi Voices, your chance to hear stories about research, classes, student life, and more.
Directly from our students, faculty, and other members of our engineering community. All right here at the USC Viterbi School of Engineering.
Welcome back into Viterbi Voices. My name is Paul Ledesma, Director of Undergraduate Admission at the USC Viterbi School of Engineering.
My name is Audrey Roberts. I'm a senior studying mechanical engineering here at USC.
And we also have joining us another one of our current students. Introduce yourself, Christina.
Yeah, hi, my name is Christina Nejam. I am a senior studying environmental engineering at USC.
And Christina, this is not your first rodeo on the podcast. You've been on the podcast a few times, right? Do you know how many episodes this is now?
This is, I think, number four.
All right, way to go. And Christina, how has your summer been going?
It's been good. Spending a lot of time indoors, doing a lot of crafts, which has been fun. Running out of storage space.
Crafts? What kind of crafts are you doing?
Oh, lots of knitting. Taught myself to crochet. So too many blankets that are not suited for this heat right now.
But come winter, you'll be... Sorry, Andrew, what?
Oh, I was going to say, I am totally on that same level. I'm making a quilt this week.
Yep.
So that's what I've been up to also.
Everyone will be super, super snuggly when it comes to winter time, which is great. Of course, we're about to go into like the hottest couple weeks ever.
Yeah. Well, in December will be great.
Yes,
we're prepared
absolutely.
For the future ahead.
Well, it is the week of August 10th. This is a bonus episode coming at you. And this bonus episode, as we have been for quite some time, I don't think we need to necessarily state this, but we're all still at home and recording this virtually. But this bonus episode is brought to us by Christina. Christina, tell us about what you have been organizing in the background and what these bonus episodes are. What are we doing here? I guess basically is the question.
Yeah, so because we're all staying home and we don't have the opportunity to go to campus and, especially for high school seniors and students who are interested in applying to college right now, you don't have the opportunity to go to campus and talk to students and get the student perspective on topics like what it's like to be a student at USC, what it's like to be in engineering, things like that. So we thought it would be good to put together a series of live chats where you can tune in, ask questions to real students at USC, get answers, and just hear the student perspective every other Sunday. And that's what this is. So this is our first live chat where a bunch of students came together and answered your questions about what life is like at USC Viterbi.
Now, this first live chat was recorded on August 2nd. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so this was recorded on August 2nd, and this was just kind of a general topics, learn about life in the Viterbi School, but your live chat series is going to be running every other Sunday all the way from now until basically the end of the year, right?
Yeah.
And there's various topics that are scheduled, right? So what are some of those topics that are coming up?
Yeah, so we actually have one coming out this Sunday, August 16th, picking an engineering major. So if you're ever curious about what the different types of engineering are, how you should pick your major, what you should put on your application, or what the process is like switching majors, learning about the different majors, definitely tune in and hear about that. We also have live chats coming up about Black students in engineering, LGBTQ students in engineering, Latinx students in engineering, just to gain unique perspectives from those students and what their experience has been like at USC Viterbi. Also students talking about their experience with research and projects, internships and co-ops, studying abroad, just to gain a really holistic understanding of what the student experience is like for all the different students at USC.
This is great. There's almost every other week, there is a whole new topic with a whole new panel of students to gain lots of different perspectives. So you can tune in every other week and get a whole different experience. And you can register for any of these upcoming events at viterbi.live/chats. So viterbi.live/chats. go there, check it out. If there's any that you've missed, we'll be putting the recordings here on the podcast like this one. There's also the YouTube recordings if you'd like to watch the Zoom video actually happen in real time. You can go to that webpage and the recordings are posted up as well. So viterbi.live/chats for all of these cool live chat options. And this recording, Christina, what was your biggest takeaway from this recording? What were most of the questions about with people of our guests that were tuning in?
They were all over the place, which was really interesting because it seems like the people who were listening in were curious about everything and they wanted to hear about everything. But I think the biggest questions were, why USC? Why did you choose USC? Which is always a question that we hear. The other one was just, what's, your favorite memory, your favorite tradition? What are you missing the most right now? So a lot of questions about what we value most about USC and what our experience has been in that way.
All right, cool. Well, let's get out of the way and let this live chat occur here. And we'll catch you on the other side to give you a couple other updates.
Welcome, everyone. You are entered or are currently entering the Fall 2020 USC Viterbi Live Chat. Woo! First things first, we all just want to send a warm welcome from us as Viterbi students to you. So during the next hour, this panel of Viterbi students, we're going to answer all your questions submitted to us by you on the webinar Q&A feature, which is below. If you can see where it says Q&A, that's where we're going to be taking all of your questions. If you're viewing this live chat from YouTube and not the webinar through Zoom, don't worry, you're still going to be able to email us questions at bstudent@usc.edu. We may not get to your emailed questions during this session, but one of us will follow up with a response at some point in the future. After the Q&A in this session, we're going to give you ways for you to stay connected both with us and connect with the Viterbi admissions office. So if you have any questions about like the application process or maybe financial aid, the Viterbi admissions office is a good place to start. But during this session specifically, we'll be talking about our experience as Viterbi students. So let's get right into it. My name is Miranda Jernberg, and I'll be hosting this live chat. I'm a rising senior, which is crazy. I imagine that some of you are also rising seniors at your high school, so you relate to the feeling. But I'm majoring in chemical engineering with an emphasis in sustainable energy, and I'm from Denver, Colorado. On campus, some of my involvements are Greek life, the Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers, USC's Latin dance team called Break On 2, and a 3D printing club called 3D4E. What's something else I've done? Oh, I studied abroad my sophomore year, and I went to Brisbane, Australia. And then this summer, I'm interning with a company called BlackRock, who is an asset manager. So next, our first panelist is going to introduce herself, and I think we have Mahima.
Hi, everybody. My name is Mahima. I'm a rising junior, and I'm studying industrial and systems engineering, and I'm from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. On campus, I'm involved in the Institute of Industrial Systems Engineering, research, political campaigns, and I also work with Vote SCR on-campus voting initiative. Today, I'll be answering questions here on the webinar, but also in the Q&A feature.
All right, thanks, Mahima. Nick?
Hi, my name is Nick. I am a rising junior studying mechanical engineering with a minor in disruptive innovation, and I'm from Alamo, California, up in the San Francisco Bay Area. On campus, I am a student ambassador for the Admissions Center, better known as a tour guide, and I'm also part of the USC Club rock climbing team. And this past summer, I was able to go abroad in Paris, France on the Viterbi Overseas program. And this summer, I spent time partially taking classes and also doing a virtual internship with a robotics startup from London.
Thanks, Nick. Mark?
Hi, everybody. My name is Mark. I am a rising junior studying civil engineering with a minor in sports business and management, and I'm from Diamond Bar, California. On campus, I do a couple different things. One, I'm a senator for the National Society of Black Engineers. I was also a resident assistant last year for the McCarthy's Honors College, so if you have any questions about housing, I can definitely answer them. And I'm also part of the American Society of Civil Engineers. Last summer, I also joined Nick in Paris on Viterbi Summer Overseas, and this summer I am interning at Northrop Grumman.
Awesome, Mark. Domini?
Hi, everyone. My name is Domini. I'm a rising senior studying biomedical engineering with a minor in classical perspectives from Kahului, Hawaii. On campus, I am president of the Associated Students of Biomedical Engineering. I also do molecular imaging research. And last summer, I was with Mark and Nick in Paris, France, studying abroad. And this summer, I am interning at Edwards Life Sciences, which is a medical device company that's based in Irvine.
Loic?
Hi everyone, my name is Loic. I'm currently an incoming senior studying mechanical engineering from the Bay Area, specifically Dublin, California. On campus, I'm involved with 3D4E, which is a 3D printing and design organization. I've been involved with Formula SAE, which is a team where we design, build, and race the 1-3 Formula One car. I volunteered in the community through this program called JEP, and for the past 2 summers, I interned at Intel as a mechanical engineering intern.
Awesome. Luz?
Hi everyone, my name is Luce and I am a rising senior, and God, that title makes me feel very old. I am majoring in computer engineering and computer science with a specialization in video game programming, and I'm from Bell Gardens, California. On campus, I am super involved with the Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers, where I'm now the former vice president of membership. I'm also involved with the Society of Women in Engineering, and I also serve as an undergraduate teaching assistant for the Introduction to Embedded Systems course. I'm currently doing my 4th internship, this time with Microsoft as a cognitive services research intern.
Awesome. And I think last but not least, we have Cameron.
Hi everyone, my name is Cameron. I'm a rising sophomore studying computer science and business administration. I'm from Chicago, Illinois. On campus, I'm a part of USC's National Society of Black Engineers, where this upcoming year I'll be their executive assistant on their executive board. I'm also participated in the USC's Formula SAE team, and I'm also part of USC's Global Investing Society, where we learn about trading, stocks, markets, and bonds and whatnot. This current summer, I'm a petroleum engineer for the Chevron Corporation, where I've been doing some great data analytics products for their company.
Sounds good. So we also have with us today 2 very special people. Christina and Paul are going to be our moderators for the live chat session, and they're going to be behind the scenes responding to all of your questions that we don't get to on scene, hopefully answering them as quickly as possible. So Christina, do you want to take it away?
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Christina. I'm a rising senior studying environmental engineering. On campus, I'm involved in Alpha Omega Epsilon, which is a sorority for women in STEM, the American Academy of Environmental Engineers and Scientists, which is a professional organization, and the Society of Women Engineers, and I'm also involved in undergraduate research.
And then Paul? Is Paul there?
Oh no.
Okay, Paul may have dropped off. I hope he comes back soon, and I hope he's doing all right. If he pops back on, or if Paul, you can hear this, feel free to introduce yourself when you make it back. But for the time being, Christina will be behind the scenes answering your questions that we don't get to live, and Mahima is on our panel, but she'll also be responding to some of your questions. So before we get started, we want all of you to know that a few years ago, we were in the same exact position you're in. We were applying to colleges and trying to decide where we wanted to go. And that's why we're here to answer your questions, and we hope that we can be helpful in that way. So thank you for already submitting so many questions. I think we have 70, so just so you know, we're gonna try our best to get to them. If you're just tuning in, still submit your questions, and let's get it started. So from Christina, what were some of your favorite classes and why? Specifically for BME and environmental engineering majors. So maybe each of you, if you have something to say, can butt in with one of your favorite classes, but I'll let Domini start since you're BME.
Got called out, Domini.
Yeah, okay, I didn't have much time to think there. I guess I'll give 2 answers because I am BME, but I also have taken a lot of courses outside of my major. So for BME, I took this course called Medical Electronics, and we learned all kinds of circuits and how to wire them, how to, computationally figure out what goes where. And the coolest thing about the course was we were able to actually apply those principles and that knowledge and build our own ECG, which, is that thing that goes up and down and measures your heart rate. And we also did EMG, which looks at, muscle contractions. So that was a really neat course to see things actually apply to medical devices. As far as outside of BME, I recently took this course called Ancient Drama, and it's for my minor. So I have a minor in classical perspectives, and it basically means it's a study of ancient Greece and Rome. And in the course, we just read a bunch of Greek plays Maybe you might know like Euripides and Sophocles and all of these really intense tragedies and as well as comedies. So that was a really nice break from engineering.
Anyone else want to chime in with favorite courses or maybe memorable courses from your major or outside your major?
Yeah, I can chime in. This past semester I took a video game engine course, which is actually not part of my degree path. I just took it for funsies. Also, it's part of my specialization. And that was super cool because it was really neat seeing all the computer science, all the computer engineering I've learned be applied in a games context, even though I've not CS games major by any regard. And that was really fun. I got to like render triangles, lots and lots of triangles, and got to see little characters move around and stuff. It was neat. It was really good. I really enjoyed it.
Awesome. Thanks, Luz. So I see a lot of questions coming in about double majoring, specifically one from Vanessa right here. And Vanessa wanted to know, how difficult is it to double major? Do any of you want to chip in on that, on if you have a double major or how difficult it might be to do so?
I mean, I don't personally double major. I don't even minor or specialize, which basically means that my classes I already take for my degree can't count towards my specialization. And honestly, it's all about like space. So if you come in with a lot of credits, there's more of a chance that you'll open up some spots in your schedule and that you could take more classes across different schools. I personally don't know anyone who double majors. I know a lot of people who minor though, which is basically a shrunken form of a major. And for them, it's all about, sometimes it's like getting away from like the engineering and going to a different passion and then coming back at the end, mixing those two together and finding an intersection in that. I think that's like a very common trend that I've seen amongst my friends that are Viterbi students who are minoring.
Yeah, I'll say like I was like ambitious going places where I was like, ooh, can I try double majoring business and mechanical engineering? Yeah, I quickly found out that would add probably another year just because you have to take a certain amount of upper division elective courses for each major. So that's pretty much an extra year tacked on at the very least. So I kind of realized that I wanted some free time and I didn't want to be studying or overloading my courses all the time, which is why I ended up taking a minor instead. I actually ended up completely switching out of my business minor, which was the right call because once you get to college, and definitely for USC, there's so much happening, you don't want to just be studying the entire time.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I don't personally know anyone who's double majoring in Viterbi, but I know way more people with minors. And I think that kind of goes along the lines of this question from Heather Ding. And she asked, how easy is it to forge your own major and how were your experience with that if that's the path you took? So minors or maybe classes outside of Viterbi or how you made your major your own.
I can start. I think this is a really interesting question, especially for interdisciplinary opportunities. Outside of engineering, I'm really interested in politics. So the way that I was able to learn more about that was through my general education classes. They're in all different kinds of fields. And for, I believe, the social sciences one, I decided to take a class in political science. So I got to learn more about it. And I want to continue to do so. I've also taken a class in international relations through my GE requirements. So I think GEs are a really great way to make sure that you can address these subjects you're interested in outside of your major and make it your own.
Yeah, I think emphasis, I have an emphasis, like I mentioned, sustainable energy. And I know a lot of majors have those. Like within chemical engineering, there's a petroleum emphasis, there's an environmental emphasis, and then there's sustainable, and there's more on top of that. So that's kind of how I specialized and pursued a passion of mine, which is sustainability. I think I'm going to throw this question to Mark. It's from Albert, and it says, which is the best dorm and why?
Okay, well, I'm biased. I came in as an honor student, so I lived there my freshman year, and then I also was an RA my sophomore year there. So I say McCarthy all the way, but it really just depends on, you know, what type of person you are. And so there's really a different kind of mindset going into all of the dorms. So I had a ton of friends living in Burncrant, and they all loved it there. A really great community because I think it's called like 7 floors of open doors or something like that. And so like that's always a great community. New North is great. I personally wouldn't live there, but that's just me. IRC is also a good one. A lot of international students, as well as great collaboration down there. So everyone's going to be biased with that. But I love
no representation for South Residential College. What's up with that? Where's our party towers? Where's our marks? Where are those opinions? Where's the energy?
Representing Mark's Tower? Come on.
Party Tower Lounge hits different at 2 a.m., dude. I'm just saying.
It does. I've been there before too.
All right, I think we have a lot of dorm experiences here, and it could turn into a heated debate about which is best, but it just goes to show I don't think you can really lose with the dorms on USC campus. I got a question from Anonymous about, will this be posted to YouTube after? The answer is yes, 100% yes. And if you're watching this from YouTube weeks later, months later, years later, feel free to submit your questions to vstudent@usc.edu, and maybe we'll still be sitting in this call answering them. Just kidding, we'll email you responses. Question from Chloe. Tell me about the culture in this program. Is it collaborative, competitive? Is there much hands-on experience?
I've only ever found it to be collaborative. I'm in ISC, which as you get to higher level classes, it just gets smaller and smaller. And one of my good friends, Alex Rennie, is in, she's in BSA as well, but we used to work on homework all together. And you kind of form a little bond with your community, but I've never ever felt a sense of competition within the program at all.
Yeah, I was gonna echo that. Like I've done full on with the freshmen and sophomore mechanical engineers who ended up living in my building. We would take over a study lounge if we had a project to work on or a test the next day, and like order pizzas and stuff just to kind of make it more fun. And I think that's something that's definitely welcomed, is like they don't want you just to be out on your own struggling, because engineering's hard, but it's also a very collaborative field in the real world. So they want to bring that in.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think that especially with the hard class that you take as an engineer, if you're not collaborative, if you're not asking for help, not only from your professors, but from your friends too, like you're just going to struggle. It's not going to be a good time. So it's not a competitive environment at all.
Yeah, I just want to add in there that so engineering classes, most of them do have curves, and the curve always helps you. It never hurts you. So that's, I think, another factor in why, it's easy to be collaborative. There's really no reason to be competitive and hide notes or anything like that, because the curve always helps everyone. So.
Yeah, I was just going to add that I'm in a group chat with about 80% of the people in my major, in my year, of course. And it's filled with loving messages like, where is the Zoom link? And do people want to study at the weird time zone time? And it's a great time. I think I credit my peers a lot to, helping me through all my classes.
Definitely. Great question, Chloe. Everyone had something to chime in on that one. Someone asked, how big are your classes? I'm going to lob that over to Cameron.
Yeah, so classes really depend on what classes you're taking. So when I actually came into USC, I was a mechanical engineering student, so I did a big switch to computer science and business. When I came in there, mechanical engineering is a larger major, and so there was 2 sections of our intro class, and it had about 45 students in one section. Still very easy to ask questions of the professors and whatnot, but that was probably on the larger side of the classes. Similar to my math class, you'll get around 45, 40-ish people in there. But then you have a lot of smaller classes, like my general education classes. It was a design class in the Rossi School of Art and Design. That class only had about 30 students. And then my writing seminar really only had 12 students. So that was a really great way to interact with the professor up close and personal. So it really depends. But I definitely can say that I haven't really felt so far that I haven't been able to make a good connection with my professor in a class, or really reach out to ask for help and think, oh, they don't know me because the class is so big. I haven't felt that way at all. And it's been really easy to make connections just because the classes, are well sized in my experience.
Definitely. Thanks for that response. Anyone else on class sizes?
I was just going to quickly add, if any class is larger than 50 students or could have more than 50 students at any point, it's broken down into either a lab or discussion section. So labs are like for, physics, chemistry, biology, that kind of stuff. So you can get a little bit more hands-on experience to balance out the lecture material. And then those discussions are for things like, I've had them for some general education courses, but math definitely. And that's just a space where no new material is taught, but the teacher's assistant, usually sometimes the professor, will just go over like how to handle different problems and how to, like different shortcuts or whatnot. So that way you get a little bit more like kind of hands-on experiential practice to the theory that they're teaching in lecture. And also it's a lot easier to ask a question in front of like 15, 20 other people than it is in front of 40, 50 or above.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think I've had a class like as big in the lecture at least as 100 people, but then we had a discussion and a lab, and then my lab was like 20. So can definitely vouch for that. I think Cameron brought up something good, and I'm wondering if any of you have also done it. It's from anonymous attendee, potentially the same anonymous attendee from earlier. How easy is it to switch majors within Viterbi?
I can go ahead and start. I just switched, so I've been in industrial systems engineering for a full semester. So for the first year and a half, I was in computer science. And as soon as I knew I wasn't interested in it, I went into the ISC advisor's office, and right then and there, I was switched into the major. What's really great about Viterbi is how they structure your first year. So you have a lot of math and science right away. So then those classes overlap, so you're not really wasting any time. And also what's really great is you'll probably still be able to finish your major within the 4 years, even after you switch. So they're really flexible.
Yeah, I'll also piggyback on that. A lot of the majors, the first two years generally overlap pretty much. So I'm currently civil engineering, but I'm also exploring switching into mechanical or aerospace. And so it's easy as talking to the advisor, making sure the classes line up, and then hitting the switch button. And so I'm currently going through that process right now.
Definitely. I will say more about this later on, but we are going to have more live chats coming up. And one of them specifically is all about how we picked our majors. So if you have more questions on this, stay tuned to hear more about that. I saw another good question. How did you decide to go into engineering? And if so, you guys all chose engineering. How did you choose what type?
I could start off with my really weird way, because this is definitely not the way most people have gotten involved in engineering. But I must have been 3, I knew I liked roller coasters and just kind of the idea of them. Once I started playing that PC game Roller Coaster Tycoon, I figured out if I'm designing them for a game, somebody has to be designing them in real life. Since then, I've said I wanted to design roller coasters. Once I found out that was a mechanical engineer's job, I stuck with it. Once I got to USC, that seemed like a natural progression for me. So ever since then, I've gone with it. I've still enjoyed it. And so I'm going to keep going and at least put my hat in the ring to try getting involved in one of those companies.
For me personally, I, first of all, really liked math and science in high school, right? Like I really enjoyed calculus, physics, all that stuff. But one thing that I really noticed was that I was fascinated with like engineering things, like for example, like self-driving cars and planes, and like whether it was like learning about it or just like looking at it and just being obsessed with it. That was one of the things that sort of pointed me to study mechanical engineering.
Yeah, I had a little bit of a different experience. I mean, when I started USC, I didn't really know what engineering was, to be frank. I kind of played Russian roulette with my majors because, my professor or my high school teachers would really tell me like, hey, you're good at math and science. You should like do some sort of engineering, because that's what all the math and science teachers tell you when you're in high school. I'm like, yeah, I'll do that. And then I applied to computer engineering, computer science, because I'm like, those are 2 things I don't know. Also, I like games. They run on a computer. It's the same thing, right? And now that I'm like almost 4 years into the major, I quite like it. I will say so myself. So it's okay to also just take a chance on engineering, since there's so much flexibility. Like once you're in Viterbi, like to switch around and go from major to major and explore.
Yeah, definitely. I wish I had a more exciting story, but for me, I was like, I like chemistry. I don't know what engineering is. So chemical engineering, bam, bam, sustainable emphasis. And here I am. I think it worked out 4 years later. I'm scrolling through the questions, trying to pick another one, and there's so many good ones. I think next we should answer, do you as Viterbi students ever feel overshadowed by other popular colleges or majors at USC like film?
I mean, if I wanted to go into film, I would have applied to the film school. So I'm pretty happy with where I am. I think everyone is kind of like, they went to their school for a specific reason. So I don't see anything wrong with the school being there overshadowing us.
Yeah, I mean, also think of the end goal. Like, if you want to be a business student, go to the business school, or if you want to be in Dornsife, But I never feel overshadowed by any of them. Just, yeah.
Also, taking classes in schools are fun. Like, take a cinematic arts class when you're at USC to say you've taken a class in the School of Cinematic Arts. Like, it's nice to have those outlets and to have so many different great schools, whether they're professional based or talent based, just like dabble in and try it out for fun.
Yeah, I would also, I don't know if this question is referring to just within USC, but also like other colleges as well. But I think the main thing is once you're in college, it's mostly about the opportunities that presents itself. And so I feel like in Viterbi, I've had so many opportunities, whether that be for research or ways to develop myself. And so that's kind of what you start focusing on is like, how can I grow and how can I develop into an engineer that I want to be? And I've always felt like Viterbi has given me, copious amounts of opportunities. So.
Yeah, definitely cool to take classes across schools, which you're totally allowed to do for the most part. So I think it's a net benefit. I have a question from anonymous attendee. The question is, do you have free time?
Short answer, yes. Long answer, everybody does different things with their free time. I usually just stay in my dorm and sleep or watch Netflix. Pre-pandemic, there was a lot of things to do in LA, including going to the movies, which was something I did a lot. I know Nick has a really fun tradition involving ice cream that he could tell you about, but I think it's a recurring theme in a lot of this is just how much effort and time you're willing to put into, like, devoting time to school and then devoting time to outside stuff. But it's certainly doable.
I also think there's a misconception of free time. And so a lot of us on this chat right now, we're in 3 and 4 different clubs. And so that can be grouped in as free time. So do you have absolute free time? You might not get that until the weekends just because, we're doing so many different clubs. But throughout the week, the more you take on, the less true free time you have to just sit down. And so I think, as you get more involved, you see your true free time dwindle, but the time you're having fun and spending with others is still there, just in a different form.
Yeah, I would, jumping off of that, I would say, when you join extracurricular, clubs and you're with those people that share common interests with you, that's when you start to build your social circles as well. So your time in student orgs being productive also turns into time that is enjoyable. So, you do have free time outside of your extracurriculars, but sometimes your time in extracurriculars can be just as valuable.
Yeah, definitely. I'm seeing some questions about what our high school stats were, maybe what scores we got on AP exams, or what the magic sauce was one phrase used on how to get accepted. Those are all questions maybe for someone who works at the Viterbi admissions office, but we'll give you more information on how to connect with them and ask them those questions at the end of this session. So another question coming from Ainsley Starr. How did you all find your internships? And maybe adding on to that, what's been your experience with Viterbi Career Services?
Sure. Yeah. So I feel like, especially coming in as being a freshman, a lot of people everywhere wondering can a freshman get an internship? So short answer, yes. About the experience with the career fair, I felt like it was a really positive one. Really getting a chance to interact with recruiters is something I never really was able to do before. And the career fair was really fun. I didn't even want to go to the career fair in the first place. I had just finished a midterm and I was like, I want to just go back to my room and sleep. And one of my classmates was like, yo, bro, you should just go, just slap on the suit. So I literally slapped on the suit, printed out a resume, was like, okay, here we go. And then lo and behold, the first company I talked to was Chevron, and that was the company that landed the actual interview and internship. So it was kind of crazy just taking a chance and going out there. But they're really great because even if something, you may not get an opportunity your first year as a freshman or coming back as a sophomore, it's really great to get some practice. And they're really fun. You get to see things, and I got to talk companies I didn't even know exist. So it was really just great overall, fun to be out there and just learn some things, meet some cool people.
Yeah, I just really want to also speak to the less explicit networking that kind of goes on at USC. I'm on my 4th internship now at Microsoft. I've had internships at Google, Facebook, and NASA JPL. And all of those I've gotten just through chatting with people that I meet during meetings and in clubs. My first internship, how I got my start was I had a mentor in SHIP. She called her old manager, said, hey, do you have an opening? Here's a great person. And I got recommended for that job. And then other parts have been just USC has a lot of recruiters that you'll see a lot because they're specifically dedicated to recruiting USC students. So you get to build those relationships with them over the years. So I at the internship I'm at now at Microsoft, the recruiter that recruited me was someone that I knew since my freshman year, and we have a rapport now. I'm hey Chelsea, how's it going? How's the husband? That's how we talk, So it's a lot more kind of relationship building and just kind of meeting people in really informal settings sometimes that helps land you those internships.
I have a really interesting and unique internship experience, especially for freshman year. I worked on a political campaign my freshman year, or the summer after my freshman year, and the way I got it was our political institute was offering a program where they would set up kids with political internships, and I was not a political science student, and I was really worried about applying, but turns out I was the only engineering student who was ever interested in any of their programs, and they were really interested in my disciplinary work, so I was able to be paired up with a campaign that wanted specifically engineering backgrounds. So I think another important theme is just putting in the effort to finding one. And a lot of times there's a lot of people at USC who are willing to help you.
Yeah, awesome testimonies, and really cool that there are so many ways to land your internships at USC. So another question kind of similar to internships or in the same vein, this is from Maeve. How difficult is it to obtain a research position as a Viterbi student?
I can take that. So I currently do molecular imaging research at the Michelson Center for Convergent Bioscience, and that's something that actually opened up my freshman year. And it's just a building that promotes interdisciplinary work to address health challenges. And I joined the lab my freshman year, actually, my first semester. And it was just a matter of going online to the Viterbi website and looking at the professors and their research interests and emailing a professor. Actually, I just emailed one because I was really interested in imaging research. And so once I emailed her, kind of expressing my interest and showing that, I did my homework and I looked at what she did, we set up kind of an informal interview, and then I was, admitted into the lab. So I would say that's actually like pretty common. I know some of my friends also, it was just a matter of like reaching out. I would say like before I started research at USC, I had no previous research experience. And I found that professors like to hire underclassmen actually because they can develop them into kind of leaders in the lab. And so now, like this past year, I was on my own project and own paper, and I was helping the students that like had just joined the lab. So yeah, it's been a great experience for me, and it's something that I would really recommend giving a shot, is research.
Yeah, I know. I joined research. I don't do research anymore, but I got involved with research like my second week as a first semester freshman. And through a club, they were just like, oh, these professors are looking for research. It's like it's called AICE. I don't know what it actually stands for, American Institute of Chemical Engineers or something. And I emailed her and she called me in, and I thought she was going to interview me. But then she was just like, she got right into it. So it was that easy. Question from Krishi. Since the Viterbi course layout is different from traditional engineering courses, what's it like taking GE courses up to your senior year? GE is general education courses. And could you talk about your experiences with the course layout?
Taking GEs till your senior year is really crucial as an engineering student, especially because our classes are like incredibly challenging, right? Imagine being a senior and taking like 5 like difficult mechanical engineering courses. Like that would just be really I mean, some people do it, but having a GE mix in there is really nice because like you can go to a class and not have to like swallow a bunch of like hard formulas. You can just kind of like take a nice chill class, but like sociology, that's what I really liked, or American studies, or whatever other GE sort of subject that you're interested in.
Yeah, I'll echo that. My last GE is actually going to be this upcoming semester, so the fall semester of my junior year. And I'm starting to look forward and just kind of go like, oh no, there goes all of the kind of like wiggle around classes that are a little bit more fun and relaxed, which should be fine. I mean, I'm looking forward to kind of getting more in-depth exposure into engineering, but those general education courses are not a punishment by any means. They don't feel slow, especially when you use them to your advantage and like take general education courses and something that's fun. Like my first GE was on the different branches of the Italian mafia and like how they came to power, the things that they've done kind of. And the professor was from Italy and was part of the Italian military. So he knew his stuff and was like a little crazy, but it was so much fun. And off the bat was one of my favorite classes and has still stayed that way for after 2 years of college.
Yeah, awesome. I mean, the GE classes are there, but I've had a great experience and I think they've been fun as well for me. Question from Ariane. How does the going abroad program work for engineering majors? So everyone who went to Paris, go for it.
Man, who should go first? I'll go first. So Nick, Mark, and I studied abroad in Paris, France last summer through the Viterbi Overseas Program. And this is a unique program in that there's usually about 40 Viterbi students that go to a foreign country. And our year, it happened to be France, but it kind of rotates. So the year prior was in Italy. And we take classes actually with Viterbi or with USC faculty. So they also go up with us. And so it's a neat situation where you're sort of still in the USC community, but you're also in a foreign country. So you have people to explore the city with, and you're also all living around the city. So I lived with 3 other girls in an apartment, but Nick lived like across the Seine River and Mark lived down somewhere I don't remember. Yeah, so that was an amazing experience. I think Mark and Nick, you want to add on?
Yeah, the program is just designed, like expertly designed, just because you're spread all throughout the city. So when you're going to study with your classmates, you go to their apartments and, you know, it might not be anywhere near yours. So you're hopping on a bus, you're hopping on a train or a bike to just go see them. And you see more of the city that way. And so my apartment was about 30 minutes from the Accent Center, one of the partnerships that Viterbi goes through. And so you get to see a lot of the city just on your way to class every day, which I feel is amazing.
Yeah, definitely would echo all of that. Like, it's fun to see like yourself kind of start to turn into it. Like at first you're the wide-eyed American, like looking around, ooh, I'm in Paris. But then after a while, you like on the train start to kind of do the soundly like back up to a wall, look down, don't make eye contact, and you realize you're starting to blend in. But the one thing I want to like add on that's kind of different is that proves that like studying abroad for a semester is not the only way to study abroad. Yes, like Miranda went abroad for a semester. There are definite multiple ways to go abroad for a semester, but if it doesn't work in your schedule, you can still study abroad. And actually, if all of the COVID stuff wouldn't have happened, I would have been through a different program through the Career Center. I would have been going abroad with USC, but for an internship in Asia. So knock on wood that ends up happening next semester, or next summer. But like you can go abroad once, even twice if you want to as an engineer and still come out in 4 years, maybe even a little earlier.
Yeah, I agree. There are so many ways to make abroad work. Coming as from the one who didn't go to Paris, I spent a semester my spring sophomore year in Australia, as I mentioned, and the program actually isn't through Viterbi, but it's through the Dornsife College of Arts, Letters, and Sciences. So they have this huge abroad program, and they let you know all of the countries and places that you could go to with your Viterbi major. So through that, I was able to go for the whole time. And I guess I really want to emphasize that there is a lot of flexibility in your 4 years, and anything you want to make happen, you probably can make happen. So yeah, I think Nick, you kind of mentioned like pandemic, COVID, travel restrictions. So we kind of got a question that says, how have faculty from Viterbi supported students during the pandemic? And I think I would have really wanted to know this if I were applying to college right now. So anyone who wants to jump in.
I mean, I'm in a class right now, so I can just quickly take part of that. But I'm in a class called Mechatronics Laboratory. So it's a major class for mechanical engineers. Its main thing is having in-person labs you have to conduct, and all of the assignments are actually lab-based courses. But the professors and TAs were able to set up a system where they go to USC and they build all the circuits that we need for our lab and kind of teach us how they put it together, so that way we have that knowledge. But then from our computers at home or wherever we might be, we're able to remotely access the desktops within that lab. So I'm getting my own data, I'm running my own experience, and I'm getting my own results. And I still feel like I'm part of that class. And through Zoom office hours and the lectures themselves, they're also very available. So I'm still getting that experience, and I still feel like I'm learning a lot and taking a lot out of that class from the hands-on perspective, even though I'm hundreds of miles away from the actual lab itself.
Yeah, I want to add that like even during the school year, professors were generally very they were very open, and I had like multiple times where I had to ask a question and it was just like me and the professor on the Zoom call. Like, I mean, cameras off, it was a little too personal, but they're pretty accessible and it's very doable.
Anyone else on like an experience with a professor, like maybe when we left campus or over the summer, or something professors have said to you moving into the fall?
I mean, overall, it's just you get the sentiment that like professors are also adapting with you. So they understand if you make mistakes in the transition online, because they are also making mistakes on the transition online. I've seen like Mark Redicop, love of my life, my favorite professor. He has just experimented with the different ways that he teaches things, and like constantly is looking for feedback. from his students. And even I, as like undergraduate teaching assistant for one of his classes, I've just kind of been adjusting the way kind of I explain things, knowing that I'm not in person to see your circuit, or like, you know, asking probing questions about like, have you tried this, this, and this. I think it's just overall, everyone's adapting, and professors are understanding that you make mistakes because they're also making mistakes.
Yeah, learning experience for everyone. So another question from Yash, have any of you struggled in classes? And if so, what resources are available?
A short answer again, yes, definitely. In terms of resources, USC, or specifically Viterbi, has a really great tutoring service. It's called VARC, and I don't exactly remember what it stands for, but you can schedule online tutoring sessions for an hour, and it's with upperclassmen who've already taken the class and done really well. And I've used it for almost every engineering class I've taken, including physics and calculus, and it's been incredibly helpful. And what's really great about it is you can schedule appointments on your time. So it's not necessarily like I had trouble making office hours, so I turned to VARC, and also the students are really helpful. And sometimes I find it a lot easier to talk to other students, so I don't feel stupid asking questions or anything. But there's definitely help if you need it.
Yeah, to that sentiment, my second semester, especially with the transition to COVID, my Calc 3 class, I was just really struggling with it. And so even though it's not in Viterbi, Mahima said, VARC, the Viterbi Academic Resource Center, I think that's the acronym. They had, they had a lot of good resource for there. We also had supplemental instructors. So there's students who are maybe, juniors and seniors took the class before, and they provide weekly sessions, just kind of a recap of the professors, what they're talking about. Then we also had the USC has their own math center where a lot of the TAs are able to, teaching assistants for classes are come in and they'll just be open to any questions, because I know I wasn't able to make any either professor or the teaching assistant office hours, and I was just really drowning. I was able to go there and find this random TA with a German accent. He was amazing, and really helped me pull through for those last couple of weeks. So yeah, it's just, there's a lot of different ways to get through if you really need some help, and you can find it.
And to speak to, I think EE and CS particularly, since I know for sure this happens in these classes, there are things called CPs, course producers, which are basically, shorthand versions to say undergraduate teaching assistants, which basically kind of serve the VARC function, but specifically for a class. So for me, it's EE 109, Introduction to Embedded Systems. I'd taken that class before, I'd done well, and now I basically help run labs and am very specialized in all the different labs that kind of go on in that class. So it's very specific. It's basically help from other students that is specific to that class.
The only thing I want to mention is that VARC tutoring sessions are completely free to the students. So they're yours to take.
Yeah, another free resource that I use so much that saved my butt in probably 5 classes, or they're called supplemental instruction, or SI. They're also free, and they're for large lower division courses, like your general biology course, general chemistry, all of calculus and differential equations. So that was actually my lifeline, and definitely a good thing to look into if and when you get to USC. So I guess a question we've seen a lot, and something we all have our own personal answer to, that unfortunately is going to be our last question, is why USC? And I love this question so much. I love hearing everyone's different reasons why they like USC and why they've stayed at USC. So I'm just going to go in order of my screen. We're all going to answer this one, and let's start with Luz.
Yeah, so why USC and why stay at USC? For me, USC was was the only college in my the list that I had was that really gave me comfort in the fact that it was okay that I didn't know what I was doing. As I said before, I didn't know anything about engineering or computer science or EE or any of those things before I started at CS at USC. I didn't even know how to do any code. Hello World was mind blowing to me. And I was like, what if something goes wrong? What if I end up hating this? I want that comfort and security and moving around and exploring different interests that I might have. Rockets always sounded cool. So I was like, backup aerospace, always in the back of my mind. And I felt really comfortable in the fact that I could make that choice openly and without consequences at USC. In terms of why I stayed at USC, I think the big part is community. I think I've found so many lifelong friends here. And I've found so many invaluable kind of clubs and resources like SHIP, Ship is love, ship is life. I owe so much to that organization, both at the national and local level, and I've had so many mentors and peers on there that have really pulled me through some of my toughest times, both like, personal life and even in all my classes doing study nights and stuff like that. So community is why I stayed.
All right, next on my screen is Luik.
Yeah, so when I visited USC, I was a high school senior and actually got to go to campus, which is something that you guys can't do. I'm sorry. But essentially, I got to, meet like prospective students, and I actually had this one student guide, or he wasn't even a student guide. He was just like a freshman who like volunteered to take like some prospective students around campus. And I remember like I got lunch with him and his friends, and I was sitting in the dining hall, and I was like really, really enjoying the conversation, and I really felt like part of the community, and just I felt like I was like a member there. You know what I mean? Like it felt awesome, and I just didn't get that same experience at the other schools that I visited, and that was one of the huge reasons why I ended up choosing USC. And also the location in basically downtown Los Angeles is fantastic. There's so many things to do there when there isn't a pandemic going on. The resources of the program that I'm in, it's a lot of reasons to go here. Yeah.
Thanks, Luik. Cameron?
Yes, I feel like the whole concept of like the experience when you like at least are with the people at USC and the experience when you're on campus is really amazing. So like when I was came to campus in February last year to do an interview, I was really nervous just walking around campus, and so I remember they gave us these breakfast vouchers and like, okay, you can just go to breakfast before your interview. And so I'm dressed up to the nines in a 3-piece suit with a tie on, sweating everything, and I'm just really looking nervous. And I remember these 3 dudes coming up to me, and so I'm sitting down, and I was like, "Oh Lord, what's going on?" And these guys like, "Hey, you're in a suit? Are you for an interview?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Oh, yeah. What school are you in?" "Oh, yeah, I'm interviewing for mechanical engineering for Viterbi." And kid you not, these 3 guys were all engineering students from different disciplines who had no idea. They weren't a part of any sort of BSA tour guide. They were just guys who were like, we're interested. This kid, maybe let's just talk to him. And I kid you not, that was just such a most amazing experience. Just had, people who were completely random and people who really didn't even know you just say, hey, we weren't interested in learning about you, maybe helping. They gave me good tips for the interview. It's really helped me calm down and be myself. And I feel like that's something that's echoed for the whole part of my freshman year, is just that people actually care. They're not trying to, be cutthroat. They're not trying to, beat you. They just everybody wants to help. Everybody wants to succeed. And everybody wants to prosper. So that's kind of what made me, come in the first place, is that community, because the stats are good, everything else is good, but just that community was good. And then as far as staying, haven't really been here long enough to think about leaving, but it's just, I don't really think I can find that elsewhere. And I've planted some roots, and I love LA.
Thanks, Karen. Mark?
Yeah, so I really didn't know why I chose USC. I really just wanted a big school. I love sports, so that was one of my main deciding factors, was when applying to schools, was just make sure they had good sports. And so, coming in, I just saw USC as a basket of opportunity. And so as I've been at USC, I've been able to land a research position, go abroad, have a flexible schedule at a minor. And I think those things were what really hooked me on to USC, because even though you're getting into, a highly, not highly selective, but highly competitive environment, it still feels like a home. You don't have to fight over anything, because you're working with your friends and you're working with your other classmates to really get through it together. But as well, the Trojan family is there. And so I've literally gone skiing and wearing a USC, crew neck. And there's been alumni that have stopped by just to talk about their experiences at USC, ask how you're doing. And I don't even know these people. Plus at the career fairs and stuff, recruiters come and they're like, oh, I went to USC, are these professors still around? And so it's really just a great community, and which is what really drawn me to stay at USC.
Definitely, Mark. I didn't know you skied, so that's funny.
I have the icon pass too.
Oh, awesome. You're really getting into my Denver roots here. Okay, Mahima, you're up next.
I think in terms of why I chose USC, it was also because I visited campus. The day I visited campus, I just knew as soon as I got there, they were hosting the Los Angeles Times Festival of Books at the same time. So it was just really fun to see USC get involved in the outside community, which I thought was really important. And I think one of the other reasons was I wanted to pursue something outside of engineering, and a lot of other schools said that you'd have to double major and extend a year, or it wasn't really possible. And then people at USC were telling me, oh, we do that all the time. We take classes outside of our major. We're actually encouraged to, especially at Viterbi. You're really encouraged to explore outside of engineering because it makes you a better engineer. So that was the biggest selling point for me, I think, frankly. And the reason I say are the people and the Trojan family. I have felt that connection personally. And I think you'll find that in college, having a sense of community is one of the most important things, especially in the middle of a pandemic when you can't necessarily see all of your friends, but you still talk to them. I think you'll find that community is just the most important thing. And I just don't think I would have gotten that anywhere else other than USC.
Definitely. Thanks, Ema. Also, major plug for LA Times Book Festival. That is one of the best events. I saw Gabrielle Union there. Nick?
Yeah, so starting off, like trying to find the right colleges to apply to, I just kind of made the list of what schools I was looking for. So like big or small, urban, suburban, rural, or like can you study abroad or not, and just got that list figured out by there. And actually USC was the only school I applied to in California because I've lived here my entire life. I was ready to check out, see something new. Ended up touring campus because my brother actually just graduated in May from USC as well. So I was visiting him, and there was like a really good vibe around campus. It's just kind of hard to describe. Like there's always a lot happening, and it's a very like buzzing community. It's a total bummer that for the foreseeable future y'all can't visit, but once it's available, I definitely recommend coming out and visiting because it really is something kind of unspoken about USC that got me to apply. And then once I'd gotten admitted and saw where I was admitted everywhere else, I found myself kind of going down that rankings rabbit hole where I was like, oh, well, US News ranks USC this, Niche rates USC this, and just like let that definitive number spiral too much in my head to the point where I was kind of at a point of indecision until I stepped back and looked at that checklist again that I made when I was applying and thought about all of the opportunities and really broke it down to, okay, where can I see myself grow the most and where can I see myself thrive in not just engineering, but different areas. Took that leap of faith off of the whole rankings sites and just went with USC, went with my original gut feeling and kind of went back to that excitement I also got getting admitted to USC. And it was definitely the right decision. And then since I've been here, it's been like the community, the friends I've made, and the support systems, whether it's with professors, advisors, friends, coworkers, or employers, just really all the above, where if you're having any sort of issue, whether it's with like classes, friends, anything like that, people are really willing to kind of stop everything, help you out, jump in. So like you feel immediately like you're a part of that community, and then you know you have people there that are willing to back you up until you start to realize like the people you recall in times of like being the happiest you've been, the saddest you've been, or like in any sort of conflicting emotion in between, like it's the people you start to rely on, or the people that you meet at USC, which just shows like that for me at least was like the biggest reason why USC ended up continuing to be my home.
Thanks, Nick. Dominique?
I always have to go last.
I still have to go. Okay.
I feel like I'm kidding. I feel like I resonate with so much that was said. Especially, I want to point out what Mahima said about, for me, I was looking for a university that I could do engineering and major in it, but also explore areas outside of engineering. And so, Viterbi definitely encouraged that, and USC has so many opportunities to do that. I chose classics because that's what I'm interested in, but I remember when I was trying to choose a minor, I met with the Spanish department advisor and the classics and the English and the gender study. I don't know, there's a lot that I, met with. So just having that breadth of opportunity is incredible. And then that kind of leads me into my next point is size. So USC is a large school, and that's really nice because you get so many different perspectives, and the people are very different. You meet I remember my freshman year, I lived next to like a concert pianist and someone who was in the Kaufman Dance School, and then someone who was majoring in biology, and so there's just many different people, and it's really cool to meet those people. And that being said, Viterbi is a smaller school within the bigger school. So it's been a nice smaller community that I've been able to find probably closest friends and really feel comfortable because it is smaller. So I know a lot more people and, I get close to my BME professors and things like that. So having both the big and small size is definitely been really nice for me. And then finally, I would say I touched on this briefly before, but the opportunities have been really there in Viterbi. As far as research, I've been in the research lab throughout my time at USC. I've been able to, publish papers and just work with renowned researchers. The other thing is I'm interning for a medical device company that I love, and Edwards Life Sciences has a special partnership with USC, and so if I didn't go to USC, I probably wouldn't have found this company. And also just being around really motivated, intelligent people, having that opportunity to learn from others too. So yeah, it's been an incredible experience, and I'm really sad that I'm a senior.
Yeah, Dominique, you always say everything and wrap things up in such a nice way. So now I really wish I did leave you for last. But since we're at time, I'm fully understanding that we're at time. So I'm going to try to go quickly and get each of you the information you need to wrap this up in the next few minutes. I guess for me, why I picked USC is because it's going to sound like a paradox, but I am indecisive. So when I picked USC, it was mainly I need a backup plan if I don't like engineering. So now that I'm a senior, I can say engineering was the right move. But why I decided to stay was because you can make your own path at USC. Like I said, things are so flexible in a really unique way. I don't know what it's like at other colleges, but in my experience here, it has been. And it's been in study abroad. It's been sustainability, taking classes across different departments about sustainability. My writing class was about it. And then social entrepreneurship. And I don't know what other university has courses like that. And social entrepreneurship is entrepreneurship, but with social impact. So for certain causes, whether it's immigration or food and water scarcity, things of that sort. So it's just because I guess why I stayed is the flexibility and the diversity. And one thing Dominique mentioned that I really want to emphasize is being around people with this intellectual curiosity that kind of drive you and bring new ideas into your space and your bubble is something that is really unique to Viterbi and SC. Thanks again so much for listening to us today and answering your questions. Good luck on your college applications, and fight on, everyone.
Fight on.
Fight on.
Fight on.
Okay, so that was an awesome live chat. It lasted a little over an hour, which was great. You did get questions from practically every possible category you can find. It was out there. And I want to remind students that if you are enjoying those live chats, you can register for upcoming ones with different types of topics and new students at viterbi.live/chats. In addition to that, if your questions are really admission related and about the application, I want to remind you that we have admission information sessions every Tuesday and Thursday, and that's at you can register for those actually on the same webpage. Just scroll up, but it's also viterbiadmission.usc.edu/visit because we can't do campus visits for the remainder of this year. There will be no visit programs. There'll be no in-person information sessions, no tours. We are having these sessions Tuesdays and Thursdays. Starting in September, we will also be holding sessions on Saturdays, just as a heads up. So just keep in mind, we'll have Tuesdays, Thursdays, and every once in a while, a few Saturdays will be popping up on our schedule, and you can always register for those events on our website. So anything admission application related, check out the Viterbi admission website. Live chats, check out viterbi.live/chats. Anything, Christina, Audrey, you want to say before we kind of sign off on this episode?
No, I think just super excited to have all of these on the podcast. I think it'll add the cool element of having kind of live questions. So this is something you can expect for the semester.
Very cool. Yeah, and this will be in addition to our regular schedule, right, Audrey?
Yeah, exactly.
Very cool. All right, y'all. Well, thanks, everybody, and we'll see you next time.